Welcome. I'm Janita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Shaka Williams. We are Tasari. This is a There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate.
What's up?
What up, dude?
Show me the money, right?
Show me the money.
We're talking about NAR's commission settlement. Some attorneys saying to call it compensation instead of commission. Now that's the new word. They want
attorneys
us to
that
use.
came in and told real estate realtors how to do their business. That's crazy.
I actually like this better.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Making people have to sign contracts.
Well, no, we've been doing it. What's funny is everything we're doing is technically the exact same. It's just the wording is different and it gives more of an option. And a couple attorneys actually suggested that we put an hourly rate in there as an option too.
We have a form that has all that hourly retainer fees,
for the buyer agent, but for the seller side, they were saying we should make, so right now, well, at least in our contracts, we had a percentage, we have the flat fee, and then we have other.
Yeah.
So other can be like an upfront fee or whatever, or a combination of the two, or it can be something due at a certain time. So it gives you, the whole thing was giving the seller the option. The reason NAR, it was two thoughts behind it. So every state don't do things the same. At least here, if I charge a seller 10% and I say I'm gonna split this with a co-op agent, on our contract it would say 5%. I'm charging 10, I'm giving a co-op agent 5% if they bring a buyer. And the seller would sign that. Every state didn't have contracts like that where the seller was aware that the buyer's agent was getting paid. So the argument was, why am I paying somebody to negotiate against me? And I didn't even know they were getting paid from the money I was paying out, right? The other thing was, the reason it was an issue with NAR and our MLS boards is because they assume we all got together and said, this is what we're going to charge. Well, 6%, what everybody thinks we charge, is not, it's kind of common practice, but that's not the commission that everybody charge. It's based on a scenario. Like I've had deals where I charge 10% or a flat fee or more. It just depends on the situation and what services we're offering. So, but the issue we had with the MLSs and the boards was, because the realtors, it says we have to co-op with other brokers. Well, in the MLS prior to the lawsuit, we couldn't put a listing in. Let's say if I was charging the seller 8%, I couldn't put a listing in the MLS and put 0 for any of the co-op fields. I had to put a dollar amount, even if it was $1, right? Now, we all know if I put $1 in there, what you gonna do as a buyer's agent?
Skip your house. Skip
No,
your listing.
but if your buyer wants that property, you're gonna send over.
You're gonna say, "Hey, I want to get
right." But no,
paid.
You're gonna send over an offer, right? And you're gonna ask for the commission that you want to negotiate.
I'm probably gonna call first and say, "Hey, I see you have $1 here for the commission. Is that correct?" And you're gonna say, "Yes or no." And if you say yes, I'm going to say, okay, is your seller willing to pay X?
So in other words, you'll negotiate that, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's say you have a buyer agency agreement and your buyer agreed to pay you a percentage. And in most buyer agency agreements, it says the buyer's paying me this X, but if I receive this amount from the seller side. Let's say the buyer agrees to pay you $3,000. The seller's paying you $2,000. That means the buyer only has to bring $1,000, right? Or if the seller's paying $3,000, it's a wash. The buyer doesn't have to pay you,
right?
But as a buyer's agent, you're trying to save them money. So you're going to ask, am I paying more than $1? Or if we can negotiate something, right? Because your buyer really wants that house.
But that's if your exclusive agency contract with that buyer has that small print in there that says that they'll be compensated if the seller is paying.
But a lot of them do. But what I'm saying is that same scenario, before and after the lawsuit, is the same way. The only difference is in the MLS, we can't advertise commission or co-op fees because we're not obligated to. So our listing contracts now have options for the seller. And then there's another clause that says, hey, do you want to offer compensation to a co-op agent? They're not obligated to, but technically they was never obligated to.
It would never had to be filled in.
Yeah, it never had to be filled in, but that's why it's a class action lawsuit and it's nationwide because everybody didn't operate the same. All boards didn't operate the same.
You're saying our listing agreements may have looked different than the state of whomever, Missouri. California, Missouri, Minnesota.
Exactly. So collectively, it appears that it was like price fixing or whatever. But I mean, this has been a standard for years. It's just that before all of this, it was an issue with agency. Now we got agency. Now it's like, who's going to pay the agents?
So you have two main points, right? And that is that you must have an agency agreement with your buyer.
Yep.
Correct? And the second one is that you cannot advertise the commission
on the MLS. Right. You can advertise it on your personal website, though.
And then how about where it says in the remarks the seller is willing to pay X?
You can't put it in the agent
best
remarks.
Practice. You can right
now.
No,
you can't. You can't put it in.
Can't complete the
sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So what about when you're seeing in the remarks where the listing agent is putting that the seller is willing to pay up to X amount of dollars toward buyer's closing costs?
You can do that, but most MLSs don't even want you mention it. That's why, like Real Comp, they have a field where they have concessions, where it's a drop-down menu. You can't put it in the remarks anymore. You can't mention commission or compensation or concessions in the remarks or dollar amounts in the agent remarks anymore. If not, they're going to flag it. So like if you put a dollar amount in there, it may fly, but they're going to remove it. So the whole thing is the idea is everything's negotiable. The seller wants this price, the seller's paying their agent for their services, your buyer's paying you. If your buyer wants to get paid, and they don't have if the agent wants to get paid, the buyer's agent, and the buyer doesn't have the money to pay them, then they need to negotiate that into the offer.
Sure. Which is
But that's always been the case too, though.
Right.
Like, just because we had the commission out there didn't mean that those commissions were going to hold fast.
Exactly, because it was always negotiable.
Yes.
Right.
So y'all talking about. So I want to hear best practices now. Like, so it's been 2 weeks since it's officially been implemented, right?
Right.
And so we just talked about a few different things, like what you can and can't do on the MLS. Because I've seen that in the remarks on the MLS. I've seen it on a couple of listings where the
cutoff date was like August 14th for one of them. Then Flex, I think theirs had a later date.
Right. But they still on there, right?
Yeah, they gonna come out, right?
So I want to talk about some, like, you've been talking about this a lot at KW and everywhere, right? Because you've been talking about this at a lot of different places.
For months, yeah.
So I want to hear some of your best practices that you are preaching to the agents over at KW.
Yeah, just not just KW, just anywhere. You're as an agent, whether you represent the buyer or seller, you're negotiating your fee based on the services you're providing. It has nothing to do with the co-op agent. So on the buyer agent side, most agents are fearful because they don't know how to explain their value.
They don't have any. Right.
Well, all agents are not created equal. Let's say that, right? So if I'm a buyer's agent, what's to separate me from any other agent that can just look properties up on the MLS and find them a property, right? What are the extra services you're providing? Do you know how many lenders do you know? What programs? Do you have a resource of lenders that offer different down payment assistance? Do you have a Erica? Do you have a Billy? Do you have, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are resources the average buyer wouldn't even know about unless they met somebody like me that can say, hey, I know you're trying to get pre-approved with X, but this company over here has $25,000 down payment assistance. This company has $5,000. This company has this rate program. Why don't you look and compare before you just sign something? That's what a good agent would do, because you're trying to save the consumer money. You're trying to put them in the best situation. And that's on top of just simply negotiating the offer for them, right? Explaining to them about private inspections, which inspectors you've had experiences with. So it's a lot to it from a buyer agent side, trying to find them properties that aren't on the market yet, using your network to find previous sellers that's ready to list, but they're not going to list until next month. Maybe that's a good fit for your buyer, right? You're telling them about properties they don't even have to compete for. So that's a good buyer's agent, right? So I'm going to charge a buyer a commission, right? And when we get to the best practice as a buyer's agent, okay, my buyer likes several homes. I'm going to call every listing agent and say, hey, are you offering a co-op compensation? Now, here's the thing. Some agents are going to say yes because it's in their contract. The seller agreed to pay X percentage, right? Or a dollar amount. Two, or they're going to say, no, just present the offer with what you want and we'll negotiate that. And then three, some agents just not answering their phone. We know how listing agents are, right? But my job to the buyer is to say, look, you're paying me X. I haven't verified that they'll cover a portion or all of that. So if you want to present this offer, I need to let you know a couple of things. This may impact how if your offer is accepted or rejected or not, because the amount we're asking for that you're not paying me is going to impact their bottom line, right? So I have to disclose that to the buyer, because I have to give the buyer an option whether they want to pay me up front or they want to ask the selling side to pay me, right? Now, on the listing side, best practices is give your seller the option, hey, this is what I'm charging you, but do you want me to offer part of this compensation to a buyer's agent that may have a buyer as an incentive for them to buy the property, because the buyer is going to have to pay that commission. The seller can say, no, I'm not. And a lot of sellers are saying that I ain't paying them.
That's crazy.
Let their buyer pay them, right? But guess what? How the offer's going to come over?
In less.
Yeah, or it's going to come in asking for compensation, right? So, but as a listing agent, all you can do is negotiate the commission that you want to charge for your services. And then you give the seller the option to offer, say, hey, we're going to offer this, and it'll be deducted from the total commission that I'm offering.
So do you believe, so you said something, because I don't agree that, so you think that it's best practice when you have a buyer to automatically call and y'all getting ready to submit an offer, to call and ask if they're willing to pay a commission? You think that's the best practice?
Yeah, you gotta do that now.
No, you
because
don't. What?
You don't have to, but it's best practice.
I don't even think it's the best practice.
Here's the reason, right? So let's take this. I got a few scenarios, because every attorney I talked to before this even settled, the idea is we have to think more like attorneys the way we're compensated, right? That's why.
That's what they want.
And that's why they want to change it from commission to compensation, add in an hourly rate and all of that. But just think about this, right? If your client if you're charging your client and your fiduciary duty is to your client, wouldn't it be in your client's best interest to know that they didn't have to pay you if somebody else was going to pay you and save them money?
Possibly.
But wouldn't it be good to know that up front?
Possibly.
Because if you write that offer and you just say, okay, they're not paying me, you're paying me, and then they find out, oh, they was going to give you the money, and your client will be upset. Like, man, I ain't have to pay.
Yeah, and it's just getting ready to be normalcy in the market. I mean, we just had like 6 offers come in last week, and every single person, that was the first thing. Hey, are you paying a buyer's agent?
Right.
Emails, text messages. It's
And
normalcy
that's
in the
gonna be
market.
too much. I feel like that's crazy. So why
It
not?
is gonna
Like, I'm gonna be
Why
sending
not just
email every
submit
offer
your
we submitted.
offer?
Right.
So why not? So why not, instead of calling it? Because I feel it's the same thing like we used to talk about as a buyer's agent, and you always calling. Do you got any offers on the house?
Right.
And I still do
So
it.
why don't you just submit your offer? Why you gotta
And
call me
I
and
tell
just
agents
submit your offer in there, and in your offer that you submitted, now you're asking for the seller to pay that commission. That's in that offer.
Right.
Right.
But this is what I'm saying. I tell agents, not every listing agent's gonna offer the phone. See, people look, agents got a problem of analyzing a business based on their business,
Yeah.
right? So an agent that only sells 5 or 6 homes a year, they don't know what it's like to be a listing agent that has 40 or 50 listings a year or more, right? So yeah, you're not going to answer the phone for all 20 agents that called you on that one property when you got 30 listings and you're getting 20 calls on. So yeah, I'm telling agents, if they don't answer the phone, they don't respond, your buyer still want the damn house. Submit the offer, but explain to your buyer, if they don't pay me, our contract says you have to pay me. So do you want me to ask them to pay me because it's going to impact your offer, because it's the same as a concession, or offering a different price because it's impacting the bottom line?
Sure.
Right?
It is.
On the list side, if your seller puts an amount or authorizes you to put a percentage or dollar figure in a contract that they're going to offer to or allow to be offered to a co-op agent, it's testers out there. So if Shaka calls me and I say, yeah, we're offering 3%, and then Janita calls me and I say, yeah, we offering 4%, I'm in trouble because my seller already put in writing what they want me to offer as compensation. That has to be the same across the board. Now, if we reduce the price and we change something, then it would be in my best practice to say, hey, my seller was offering this. As of yesterday, we changed the price. I just want to let you know, if you're writing an offer, my seller's only offering, 1% or 5%, whatever that amount is, just because I know you're going to write an offer. But again, you may be writing an offer at the previous price.
Yes.
Right? So again, it's all negotiable.
Which is why I don't even want to talk I don't want to ask the question. I want you to present your offer to your client and let the client make the decision. Is this a good enough offer for you or not?
It's in your buyer's.
I'm asking all of them. All of those questions.
It's in your buyer's best interest that you know that.
I'm asking, how many offers you got right now currently? Are you paying commission of X dollars?
If you can get a hold. So here's your issue. And this is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Best practice. Best practice normally means commonly, right?
Right.
So if you're dealing with a agent, Reggie answers his phone like almost all the time. I think like maybe 8 out of 10 times you be answering your phone. Right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about.
I usually answer right.
Does everybody have your cell phone number?
No.
Oh, okay.
But they're gonna get Tish or somebody.
Okay,
but
somebody gonna answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
The people the agents that know me personally got my cell, but most people are gonna get Tish, and she's gonna say, yeah, on this one, this is what we're offering, right?
Gotcha.
But I very rarely actually call. I mostly send emails out. That's normally like an early morning thing. If I'm sitting here and I'm scheduling appointments or whatever, when I schedule that appointment, I'm gonna hit the little mail button. Hey, how many? I probably done copied and pasted that. How many offers do you have on this property? And I'm away from my response. And as I'm going out through my day with my showings or my showing assistant, whoever it is, I'm gonna give them those updates.
Right.
But I just looked at a house a day ago, and I messaged the girl the question, how many offers do you have? And I still proceed to go over there and look at the house. I don't get a response. I call, don't get a response. When I leave the house, she sends me a message, we just accepted an offer.
Right.
That's what.
It was a waste of
what
my
I'm saying
time.
is,
Yeah, it was.
it's
All the way.
it's best practices to call and get as much
It was
information
wasting your
as
time to call
It
because you
was
didn't get
not.
the answer.
It was not, because had she answered, I would not have had to go over there.
But
And
she
I
didn't.
would say in a high 90 percentile, people answer and respond to those messages.
So I got a question, y'all. So if let's say that you don't know, y'all the buyer's agent now.
I'm still submitting an
There
offer
it
with what
is.
the
So,
buyer wants.
when you
But
buy, you submit
what
an
I'm
offer.
saying is your job as the buyer's agent to find out if the buyer can save some money
For sure.
by asking. But what I'm also saying is, I know that most agents are not going to answer in a timely manner. The buyer wants the house, submit the offer based on how the buyer wants you to submit the offer. That's all
But why
I'm
wouldn't
saying.
you be submitting an offer because you asked a question?
Because you don't have the answer.
No,
If
some people feel like I'm not going to write an offer until I get an answer.
Yeah, I don't have that.
No, we don't.
So then you're submitting the offer anyway. So why are you
Because
calling?
I want the information if I can get it.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. But but you're wasting time because the information. Look, it don't matter what you
It only
say.
take 5 seconds to call or text.
No,
Or
because
email.
sometimes. Listen, in 5 seconds, I mean, I guess if you time
I'm
block,
saying if
you got a
somebody,
time block in your schedule that says this is the time I'm gonna call and ask.
and say what's up, and you tell me 0, then I go back to my buyer. Simple as that. I'm not having a long drawn out conversation. I'm just saying.
So
And
are you not gonna submit the offer the way you wanted it because they said 0?
No, I'm still gonna submit it. I'm gonna tell the buyer, look, they not offering. You got to pay me this. How do you want me to submit it?
And that's one of the things I always, when I'm doing my buyer's consultations and I'm getting my agency contract signed, I always let them know, hey, if you see a property and they're not offering, this is before this law.
Yeah.
Because we had those dollar listings and things like that. If I see something and I realize they are not going to be paying me, I'm going to let you know immediately. So I already have my contract signed where they agree to pay me a commission. But I always tell them I'm still going to follow up with you and let you know in the event that we choose a house where the commission is not being offered.
So
I'm glad you said that because that's how you did it before, and that's the same thing that it is now. That hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
So I'm saying though, so if y'all call and the seller's agent says no, we're not offering commission.
Right.
Are you're not going to submit an offer asking for a commission?
No, here's the thing, right? See, people are making this more complicated than what it is. So just like with seller's concession, you'll call an agent and say, hey, is your seller willing to offer seller's concessions? They'll say no. Now I'll go back to the buyer and say, no, they're not offering concessions. Do you want to submit the offer anyway? They're going to say yes or no, right? Or give them more and roll the concessions in. Same thing with commission.
Right. That's what I'm
you
saying.
got to treat it the same.
Same exact thing. Yeah.
All I'm doing is making a call so the buyer can be more informed on how much they might need to pay.
Same way somebody say they only got conventional on there, and you got an FHA client.
Yeah, and you looking at the
damn
yeah,
offer.
and you looking at the house.
I get a lot of offers accepted. Not a lot. I mean, enough where I've talked to the agent. We just got one of my clients like, I done already called you a negotiated price before I even went into the house. I'm like, can I get it for this amount? And he like, this somebody I'd like if I was to call you.
Right.
Yeah, we can get it done for that. Okay, cool. Now I'm going.
Well, I'm not gonna tell you you can. I'm gonna say we might can get it done or something like that.
You're explaining a little bit a different scenario because now everybody doesn't have. That's kind of what Reggie said. All agents aren't created equal because you're now describing that you've been in real estate a long time and you have relationships with other agents. You know what I mean? Where everybody doesn't have that. We're talking about best practices for everybody.
Best practices, the best practice is call. If you can't get the answer, then just submit the offer anyway. You don't have to call 8 times until you just call, tell your buyer they haven't responded. What do you want to do? Either it's going to save you money or we got to submit it the way that is in your best interest.
And to save time, just shoot emails.
Yeah.
To save time, just find out what your client's offer is and submit the shit.
Well, that's gonna happen anyway. That we didn't lose time.
You save all the time in the world.
So the part that I really want to talk about in this is the seller side. So there's I just had a seller call me about listing a property. Now, every seller assumes like their scenario is just like easy. They don't understand. So here's the thing with sellers. The average seller don't understand, at least for me, right? And I talked to Logan and some other agents on what does it cost you to list the house, right? The average person is going to say it doesn't cost you anything.
What?
Because it doesn't. To sign the paperwork, put the property in the MLS. It doesn't cost you anything. But what does it cost you to market the house so that it sells? That's the difference. So a lot of sellers are perceiving this that, hey, we no longer have to pay the listing and the buyer side. Well, you never did. The reality of it is what I'm charging you based on my services and my marketing and to get the end result. If another agent brings a buyer because they already had this buyer before my marketing got into the marketplace to generate a buyer, then I'm willing to split part of that commission with them, right? Under the previous way and under the current way if you authorize it. So that agent getting that percentage or fee, that's kind of like an expense to me because I've already paid for a Century lockbox is $150. Your photos can be $200 to $500 depending on the property. Your video, your drone footage, like all of that, I can easily spend, and that's not including paid ads. I can easily spend $500 to $1,000 the first 2 days, and then the seller can change their mind on the fourth day and take their home off the market. So when I explain to a seller, you're hiring me and I'm charging you, I'm not relying on a third party or another agent to sell your home. I'm charging you because I'm trying to sell it. I'm doing the marketing. I'm doing everything it takes for the home to sell. It just so happens since we co-op and in the marketplace, there's other people that have buyers. And if they bring a buyer, it just saves time. So what sellers are thinking is, oh, I don't have to pay X anymore because I only have to pay you. Well, I can't do marketing and all of that if you're only paying this percentage because now it cuts into my profit even more. You're assuming that I'm gonna another agent selling the property is no guarantee,
especially not now,
right? So here's the scenario most sellers have to think about. If I discount, say I would charge you half of what I would normally charge because you're assuming another buyer agent is going to get paid, right? If the buyer comes to me and I'm representing you as the seller and you've only paid me this discounted rate, I'm doing the seller side job and the buyer side job that normally a buyer agent would do. So I'm doing the job for both parties for a discounted fee. So I'm only getting paid for one. So sellers are saying, well, you can charge the buyer. No, I can't. I can't charge the buyer because I don't represent them. The only way I can represent them is I have to go into a dual agency contract, but I don't do dual agency because that's a gray area because it involves fiduciary duty, right? So if I did, now I can charge the buyer, but I would have to no longer represent you in this transaction. And do you want me to do that after I know all of this information, right?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So what I'm telling sellers is there's two scenarios. So one, for example, if I'm a homeowner and I hire you, Shaka, to do I hire you to renovate my property, right? I'm paying you, and let's just say it's $80,000, right? The end result is I want a renovation, I want the proper permits, and I want the work done right for the $80,000. I know, well, you're going to sub some of this work out, which is an expense, meaning you're not going to be able to keep the entire $80,000. You got your materials and everything else, right? But you're subbing the electrical out to a whole third-party company. Let's say on the next job you do, you don't use that sub, you do the work yourself. Should I expect a discount?
Right. Because that's what they're asking.
No, right?
Pretty much. Right. No.
So that's the same thing with a seller. If I'm paying you for your services and a result, it shouldn't matter what other third party helped get to the bottom line and get you to the closing table. So, and this is what most sellers don't understand. They perceive that, oh, the listing agent just lists the property, and the buyer's agent came and brought the buyer. Well, does that happen? Yes. And both parties were getting paid from one source. But the buyer's agent can always charge their buyer. That's nothing new. But most sellers think, okay, I'm going to be able to get this service at a discount. No, you're not. It costs me the same regardless.
Yeah.
That's why I'm charging you the percentage or the fee I'm charging for all the services I provide.
That you were willing to share because somebody else was sharing in the expense as well, or in the
well, they're sharing
work.
in the work.
Yes,
right.
correct.
Because the buyer's agent don't have any expenses. I'm not calculating their expenses. Well, they do, but
you gotta take them to see houses. You gas and money. Gas and time.
But not for that one particular house.
Yeah, not for that one particular house. All the expenses on that house is mine. And now homes are on the market longer, which means I'm spending more money in marketing and advertising. So another scenario I give is, let's just say you pay your attorney, right? There's a lawsuit, somebody's suing you, right? And you pay your attorney and you say, okay, I want to win this lawsuit, or you're suing somebody. I want to win this lawsuit. I'm paying you, and they charge you a retainer fee, and they charge you a percentage of the lawsuit, right? I don't know, 20%, right? Now, let's say the party that you're suing, they have an attorney, right? And you're paying your attorney 20%. You win and it settles, and that's fine. They get 20%. Now, same scenario. Let's say you're suing somebody, your attorney is charging you 20%. The party that you're suing say, you know what? I don't want to go to court. I don't want to do this. I'm not even going to hire an attorney. If you guys settle for this amount, your attorney write the paperwork up and we'll just be done with it, and I'll settle for this amount. Now, your attorney is doing the paperwork for both parties and signing it. Would you expect your attorney to charge you less?
No, he's going to actually charge you more because he's going to have more billable hours.
He's not representing both parties, but everything is under the same umbrella where there's no third party, right? So the general public has this idea that the listing agent is gonna, they're saving money because of this other agent not involved, and that's not always the case.
Right. So I got a question for you then. So, all right, now as a listing agent, because I feel like everybody felt like it was going to hurt the buyer's agents more, but I feel like you just gave a scenario in which it or could potentially hurt the listing agent more. So now as a listing agent, what is your best practice, or what would you suggest for agents that aren't as well versed as you are? What should they be going in saying to their sellers? What should they be saying to their seller?
They need to get the skill set, and they need to be able to provide and show their value.
But that would be like a role play, because you can't assume that that a person's not gonna want to pay whatever you're charging.
Right. Like I always tell my sellers, like, I don't fault you for wanting a discount. I'm just not the discount. You can go somewhere else. Every time I paid somebody a discounted rate, and
a discounted job, right?
They resent it. Well, not only that, they resent it doing the business, because the closer somebody get to that break-even point, they like, oh, I don't want to finish. They got to go do another job. Their attention is focused on somewhere.
I lost interest before we got started. I called you about that situation where it's like we didn't do a seller's net. I didn't walk the property. We didn't even have a formal meeting. It was just like, an introduction. And before getting off the phone, oh, by the way, are you willing to discount your commission based on, the difficulties that I've had in this scenario?
No, because you paid everybody else, and everybody else burnt you and got over on you. Now you want me to pay for their bad doings, right? Don't discount me because I'm solving your problem. The other people put you into the situation.
Charged you yet?
Yeah, you don't even know what I was going to charge. So now, at the end of the day, the market will determine what's acceptable, right? And you're going to have competition, and you're going to have sellers. Will there be some agents that come in and charge a flat fee, and just put it in the MLS and let the property sit forever, or it may just sell right away. Great for them. That may happen. But how long can you do that?
Right.
How can you be profitable doing business that way? And will it be some disgruntled sellers like, oh, I signed this long-term contract with this agent and they were only charging me this? I've gotten listings after people that did that, right? And we got results when they was like, I shouldn't have never did that, right? So yeah, there's going to be discounted services and there's going to be discounted
Yeah, I've asked
quality.
people like, so you want to beat your agent down before your agent even gets, like, how do you hire somebody to work for you in your best interest and you already beat them down?
I always
don't
tell
get it.
somebody, like, if I can't negotiate for myself, if I allow you to come in and beat me down on my price, then how the hell are you going to trust me to go out and negotiate on your behalf?
Right.
Like, what?
But see, the average person don't understand. They don't understand the conversations you're having to even get to convince somebody to go in their direction.
Right.
So as a buyer's agent, how do you have the seller to convince the seller, oh, you should do this repair? Because by the way, if you don't do this repair, it's likely to come up on the next inspection anyway. On top of that, it's a FHA requirement. So yeah, you can tell my buyer no, but you're going to run into this for the next 20 buyers you go through.
Or you got to disclose it now that you know about it.
Yeah, so as a buyer's agent, I'm negotiating that. As a seller's agent, how do you convince a buyer, yeah, my seller needs 30 days occupancy, right? Because by the way, if you go out and look for a new home, how long have you been looking for a property? Oh, we've been looking 3 months. Well, you're only giving my seller 30 days. How long you think it's going to take you to find another property and close? And my seller may not use the full 30 days, but if it takes you another 3 months to find a property, you're into 2025. Now, well, right now, you know you're moving this year, right? So most people don't understand what the discussions you're having and negotiations on the back end.
I got one last final thing, and then you can wrap it up. So I want to know. So you got an agent, a newbie agent on your team, and I'm asking. I've been asking the same question, but I'm changing the way I'm asking it so I can get the answer that I'm looking for. But so you got a newbie agent on your team, and they got a listing appointment. Are you telling them to? Are you suggesting to them that they should suggest to the seller that the seller should consider, or that it's better to pay a buyer's agency commission?
No.
Or buyer's agent commission?
I'm telling agents, you explain to the seller what it is you do for the money you're charging, and offering compensation is something that they have the option to do, and it's negotiable. And even if you choose not to, a lot of buyer offers are going to come over with compensation, and that compensation will be deducted from the amount I'm charging you.
You know what's
So you give the seller the option to add something there in advance.
So my problem is they were never offering buyers compensation. The listing brokerage
was, right,
is the person who was offering buyers compensation.
But you're speaking from it from a Michigan standpoint. Remember, every state.
Well, Shock is asking what you are suggesting.
Well, I'm talking about,
but
I'm talking about now. So now, I'm not talking about before. We're talking about now. So now you have to ask. So you have to ask them. You have to ask them so that they can't offer it. So before it was what you said.
Before I would charge, I would put a percentage or an amount in that MLS cooperation, and the seller signed acknowledging that.
Right.
Now the seller has to say, this is what we're willing to offer a co-op agent. Right. So they're still acknowledging it's the same scenario, but they're not obligated to put anything there.
Right.
Before we were obligated to put something there because we had, in order to put it in the MLS, you had to have a dollar amount or percentage, even if it was $1, right? Now the seller can say, I ain't paying nobody else but you. And you say, fine, that's good with me.
But I'm still trying to point it out, because whether it's before the fact or after the fact, even Reggie talking about it right now, they're making it with the seller paying the buyer's agent. In none of these scenarios is I'm still always sharing my commission.
No, you're not. Not anymore.
Or I'm saying,
yeah, you're still sharing.
Not anymore.
Or I'm saying, are you okay? So I'm charging you 20%. I would like to offer a buyer's agent 5% to come in if they were to find a buyer. Are you okay with me sharing my commission to make sure we have all the opportunity
But
to
that's not what
market
you're
your
saying
house?
anymore. That's what you used to say.
Yeah,
Now
but
you're saying, do you want to pay if a buyer agent comes in here? Do you want to pay their commission?
yeah, that's what you're
That's what you're
saying.
saying now.
But you're also saying, depending, and I don't know everybody's contract. Our contract is saying, do you want to pay this? If you're willing to authorize me to promote the listing with this on there, that amount is being deducted from what I'm charging
But
you.
you can't promote it on the MLS.
Well,
on that
not on the
list anymore.
MLS, but
So,
I can
My
promote it
website.
on the
yeah,
website.
but everybody's still going off. If that's the case, then people wouldn't call. They could just go on your website and look. But
But
that's what's going
everybody's
to
not
happen.
putting it on their
Yeah, that's
website
my
though,
point.
because that takes a lot of
Yeah.
time.
So
But
you're going to get now the seller has to agree now
right.
that no, you're not. Now the broker isn't the one paying the commission. The seller is the one paying the commission.
The broker can pay. It can be deducted, but it's still a line item on the HUD from seller
correct,
and credit. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Where before it wasn't. I mean, it
but
was. Go ahead.
the whole thing is the seller is just more involved in how the commission is split. That's just the bottom
Exactly,
line.
because I was about to read this note, the compensation agreement, because the way the compensation agreement reads is still a notice that we are accepting. No, that's the notice of the buyer's agency. So
Yep.
you got the notice of
And then
buyer's
you got
agency, and then you got your compensation agreement.
Yep, you got the broker compensation
Yeah.
agreement. Yep.
I need that. But
Should have
like
stayed.
what I'm saying is these forms that we have to use now, they're just basically saying, yeah, the commission that you are offering listing broker, because and some of them forms the seller isn't even signing. It's the listing
Right.
broker that's still signing,
Right.
saying that I am accepting the commission that you're going to pay me.
Right.
On the
But that's
form.
why the notice the buyer agent has the buyer and seller signing it. Everybody needs to sign it, acknowledging where the money is coming from and who's paying it.
Right, but I guess I'm only making the point of it's still just a notice, the same way it was in our old listing of Michigan.
Yeah, it's the same way.
It's still just a notice of, and so when I'm still doing my listing presentations or I'm talking to a mentee or something like that, it's, hey, this is what I charge. And by the way, did you want me to offer this as compensation in case someone wants to bring us a buyer?
I got a client now. She came to me, and I saved her deals both times. She was with the agent that sold her the properties. 2 different agents. Neither one of them, after she put all this money into them, made the homes beautiful, neither one of them could sell them for the prices they told her they was worth, the ARV. I came in and sold both properties with my marketing, photos, and everything. She did stage them. She did a good job. So on this next property she's been working on, she over invested into it. And she's like, you think I should stage it? And I was like, what about virtual staging?
Right.
She didn't even know about virtual staging. Again, this is value. It was costing her something like $2,500. And then she had to pay a monthly fee for staging. I said, just do virtual staging, a few $100s, and you do it once and you own the pictures or whatever, right? So that alone was saving her money. Then she was like, well, with the new commission plan, I'll list it with you, but I only want to pay this. I said, well, I charge this. For repeat clients, I give a 1% discount. She was like, well, the new law says no new law. I can charge what I want to charge. It's whatever we negotiate. Well, I don't have to pay both agents. I said, you never did. You don't have to. You paying me for my services. So, and this is what I said, the market would determine. For one, she's going to be a little overpriced than what I recommended. So I'm not gung-ho about the listing or the business. But 2, I actually want her to go to another agent that will accept that.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, based on the price point and the location, because not all of those buyers in that price range are rich to come up with the extra money, right? I just know the market that well. I can guarantee you 95 to 98% of the offers she's get are going to ask for compensation. And the agent that she finds that will list it the way she wants is probably going to tell her, yeah, you don't have to pay this. You don't. You're 100% right. And I agree.
Your offers are going to show you, though.
What's going to get you to the closing table? When these offers come, she's going to be so pissed off because, okay, we'll reject the first offer or we'll counter or we'll try to roll it into the price. Well, that only works if it appraised. You're already overpriced. There's no comps to support what you want. So a weaker agent is going to take it. There's going to be some disappointment. Either she's going to come back to me and respect what I was saying, or she's going to be fearful and not come to me because of embarrassment. And she's going to go find another agent and another agent. And we see this all the time. Will she probably sell the home if an agent lists it at a discount? Probably so. But we're not here for probably. We're here for what I know. And I know the percentages that say in that area, in that price point, and the buyer pool, 95 to 98% of those buyers are going to need assistance with paying their agent because they already need assistance with down payment and closing costs.
Yeah, depending on the market you're working in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it depends on the market. But what I'm saying is you're paying me for that knowledge. You're paying me to know that you're in the area where there's down payment assistance based on zip code, based on the programs that are out, how much money is out there, and that the buyers can lump that money on top of each other. And I know how to market to the best potential buyer that can afford to buy your property, right? So you're not paying me a discount for that service because I can provide that service to your competition that'll be listing next week, and I'll sell their home in less than 30 days, and yours will sit for 75 days or longer based on the data that I have. So that's what I'm saying.
She went out the country. She went out the country, BBW.
She wants a sucker buyer. Yeah, she wants. Oh, you said she gonna be flying back on Spirit?
So I don't know what modifications you guys made to your broker's compensation and commission agreement, but one of the things that I just noticed is like they ain't got in large bold print that brokers' commissions are not set by law and
we
fully
got that
negotiable. And then this one, they do say the cooperating broker may be doing payable by the property owner or the listing broker.
Right.
But then when you come down to line item 4, it's like cooperation and compensation. The property owner acknowledges and agrees that pursuant to the terms of this agreement, listing broker is making an offer. So listing broker is making an offer, compensation for cooperation to cooperating brokers. So, I mean, all I'm saying is that's what this form is just asking for an acknowledgement that the listing broker is compensating the co-op broker.
If they agree.
What I'm telling you is the whole thing was we are at it's like you took one thing, you switched the puzzle around and it's worded different, but it's the exact same thing because the market is going to determine how people get paid.
Yeah, and you added more forms and you just added more forms to help during your lawsuit.
Right. But it gives the illusion that the sellers have more control, which they do have more input, but the market determines everything. So yeah, you got more input, but the market still has control over what your home would sell for and who's going to get paid.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you buy your car at Carvana or you buy your car off the lot. One, you have a salesman in your face. One, you don't. That don't mean you paying less for the car all the time, right? So the value of the car is based on the market. The value of the home and the services is based on what the market demands. And yeah, you're going to have some discount, but you're going to get equivalent service in return.
Get what you pay for and everything, I think.
Okay, so what do we learn here? Because it's time to go.
Basically, we learned that things will probably remain the same. Here's the difference. It's going to be new agents and it's going to be new buyers. And the new buyers in the market will probably most likely get used to just paying their agent up front. As time, they're going to say, I'm coming in. This is what it's going to cost me to buy a home. I have to pay my agent. If that agent is great, they'll negotiate that fee to be paid by the other side. If not, my expectations is I have to pay the agent.
Ooh.
On the seller
I
side,
think that hurts home sales because I think a lot of people
because
would
that's the
not
other
buy a
thing.
house.
Yeah, you want the buyer to pay it, but then
Can they?
Can they pay it, or will they discount the price of the home, right?
Yeah.
Or are they going to ask for it, or they're just going to move on to a home that will compensate them for that. So that's going to happen a lot too. Oh, these homes aren't paying you. If you can't afford it, we can't look at them the same way with concessions. You sat down with a loan rep before and they told you this buyer's approved, but they're going to need concessions. What do? You show them the homes and you say, is the seller willing to pay concessions? No. You go back to the buyer, well, they're not willing to pay concessions. Let's look at the ones that will.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if I was at a $750,000 house, so let's say that the buyer agent is charging $21,000.
Right.
Me as the buyer, I'm looking at them like, and they say, I want you to pay me that up front. I'm like, boy, please.
Or at
you need to
closing,
go negotiate. You need to earn your money and go negotiate your money in the
just like
offer, you know what I'm saying?
attorneys when they sue and they say we're going to include attorney fees,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or the buyer agent to say, okay, I got them to pay a portion of it. Now you only got to come with this, right? That's acceptable. But I mean,
you got to go earn it though.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like I'm not coming paying you. No, you got to go
some
earn
buyers
your money.
will pay you though, especially if you find them something that's really of value.
Yeah, and they got it because you earned it. Yeah,
Yeah,
you saying if you went and earned your
wholesalers.
money, yes, if you earn your money, most buyers will not have an issue paying you because you earned it. But somebody just come and talking about pay me up front because you're the agent. Get out of here.
We'll do at closing, but they can charge you up front too.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
I think that the couple things were that we cannot put it on the listing anymore. That was always a thing. And then what was the other one we said? It's two main points. Oh, you got to have your agency agreement, your buyer's agency agreement in writing.
The main thing is we can't show homes to a buyer without a buyer agency agreement. So most important thing, if you're a buyer, don't go out signing contracts with multiple agents, because that means you signed a contract to pay Janita, Shaka, me when you close on a home, and you're going to show up at a closing table and you're going to be like several thousand on top of it. So you need to interview an agent that's a good fit for you, that's actually going to provide the service. And if it doesn't work out, get a agreement to mutually release you from that contract. Because once you sign, you owe that agent based on their services that's written in the contract. So once you close, you're going to owe anybody you have a contract signed with.
That's the only thing that
and
was
then
good
and then I don't know the website, but y'all people, what was it that sold a house since 2019? They can go and recoup some of the funds from the settlement.
Oh, the class action.
Yeah.
So it was several large franchise brokerages and NAR. So the class action settlement, you can look it up online, you can Google it, and you can apply or follow whatever and get your money. I don't know if your portion gonna be $24 or $124 or whatever, but you know the attorney's gonna get paid first. But you can go claim your money. You can look at the dates, you can look at the settlements, and you can go in there and fill out the stuff to see if you qualify to get a portion of the settlement funds.
That's a wrap. Monday.